there for 2 years. But when I moved from that assistant principal seat to the principal seat, I thought I knew what it was. I had no idea. Like it was a different vibe.
What is up, family? Today I am here with one of the coolest, smoothest, most suave principals in the entire United States.
Oh,
Truth
man.
be told, one of his constituents actually bragged on him earlier this morning, none
Oh,
other than
man.
Dr. Pearson. Doc, how are you feeling today?
Hey, man, we're doing good, man. Doing good. About yourself, sir?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Thank you for hopping on. First things first, I have to ask you this question. Why high school education? Why not middle school? Why not elementary? Why not college? What about the high school students draws you to them?
Look, you gravitate to them, man. I'll tell you, everybody, man. I've done two other levels. I've done one other level. I did the middle school for a while as an assistant principal and as a teacher. And it's a little different. I tell everybody, middle school kids like hormones with teeth. You got to be prepared for those middle school kids. They got a different kind of, little different
Fact.
level of energy. But I was young. I was young when I did that, though. So I was a young administrator when I started off in the middle school. So that's a different pulse. But here in high school, you get to see a kid walk in as a ninth grader, a little scared, a little scrawny. Trying to find themselves, don't know have an identity, don't know where they want to go at their lives, don't know what they want to do. And you got to see them for 3.5, 4 years, figure it out. And that's the rewarding piece of it. They get to find a career path. They find out what they do in their future, military, college, technical school. You watch kids find they high school sweethearts. You get to hear those stories later on in life too. So you see your kids that you in the school, they let out to college, they stay together. So the one thing I like to tell people is, the reason why we get in this business a lot of time is for kids to get their diplomas, no matter what level you're at. The culminating activity for everything that we do in education is for you to get your diploma, period. That's why we do what we do. I come to work every day. The housekeeper comes to work every day. The custodian, the guidance counselor, all the way down to the bus driver. The only thing we do, we're in the business of selling diplomas. And I like being able to get to graduation and get to that stage and watch those kids' names get called. And it's something about those families, screaming those kids' names and after taking pictures. It's the most rewarding feeling in the world. I tell you, it's almost like second to having the birth of your child, like to watch a kid figure out what they're going to do in their life. So it's that rewarding. So I like that process. And there's some other small things that you like, the athletics, the arts, and those kind of things. But ultimately, those kids finding themselves and get to that stage and get to the diploma. Hey man, it's nothing like it. I love it. I love high school. So I did, but my goal at the end of this thing, I think I'm gonna do elementary for at least a year or two just to see it. Um, I think I have a little passion for the babies too, so I kind of want to try it too in my career just to see what it's like.
Okay.
Um, but right now, high school is the game I like to play.
Most definitely. Most definitely. And in order for those individuals, those students to go through ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, and be the people they need to be, they have to be in a culture and at a school that cares about them. And they need a
Yes.
great principal, a great leader like yourself to be at their top health, to be operating at full throttle. And what are the things you do as a leader that separates you from the other leaders you would say in your industry? What separates you?
I think being a conduit for success. I like to tell people I don't always have the bright idea. I don't always be the person that comes up with it, but I'm a conduit to get people to what the information they need to do. A lot of times in this role, you can get a little headstrong and think that you got to have all the ins and outs. I think I'm doing a good job of, getting good people around me, building good teams of admin and support staff, have people around you, but also trust those people to do the job that they're there to do. A lot of times we get in the way of success because we want to own it ourselves. We can walk side by side with people instead of walking ahead of people. And in leadership, I feel like that's the best way to do it. When you get to the point where you're so headstrong, it's all about you. The people that are going to suffer in this business is the kids. So one thing I do, I think I'm a good leader is growing people, being right beside people, walking side by side through your ideas, your thought processes, your ups and downs, and your failures. And then what we do is we kind of get together and come up with a good plan to make sure kids get what they need. So that's one thing I think I do well. Also, just making sure that you stay abreast of the common trends and what's going on in education. I think you really got to, continue to be tapped in to what's going on. And some stuff may or may not affect you at that present day, but be aware of it because it may be coming your way. So I guess those are one of the two things I think that I do. But the most important thing is just being that conduit to allow people to be successful, so those kids can get what they need to be successful.
So you're talking about the art of delegation, being able to trust your team, and also being aware of what's coming, what's new, the new trends, the new practices, all the things that may be emerging. And on that, and in that regard, man, we're in 2025, right? It's a completely different era and day than when I was coming through when you were serving as a principal. Can you tell me what are those new trends? What are those new things that you've seen in the industry? You're saying, okay, I need to learn more about it. I need to apply this. I need to become better at this particular practice. What is one or two of those things?
Well, I'll say about maximize opportunities, right? So basically, when we went to school, it was all about, you go to school, math, science, English, social studies, you take a elective here and there, and you go off into the world. You get a diploma, you graduate. But now, we got to be aware of all the different opportunities for different credentials and certification that kids can earn while they're in high school. So, these kids can come into school right now. You can get you can be a CNA by the time you leave. You can be a certified welder, auto tech, body mechanic. I mean, you can get different STEM certifications. You can get base certifications to go out into the medical profession. So there's a litany of things that you can do. So myself is trying to stay abreast of those things and those concepts to make sure that we're not selling our kids short.
Come on.
So we got to make sure that we're at the forefront of making sure these kids have a wide variety of opportunities when they leave us because the world has changed. So the percentage of kids that are going into four-year institutions is down, but it's not for a bad reason because kids go to technical schools and add on to what they learned in high school. So basically, man, I try to stay abreast on, okay, what are other districts doing? What are other schools doing? What are the colleges doing? Because our dual enrollment offerings, you know, are, far beyond what they were, 10, 12 years ago, right? So now, kids can take so many dual enrollment courses till you have an early college concept that you can tap into, some different things virtually right now. So just making sure that we stay abreast on the opportunities out there for the kids because every kid's not the same and giving kids opportunities to pick their trajectory and pick their success platform is key because once you find that one thing you're passionate about and I can support that, I think I make your high school career more, more advantageous to you. You appreciate it more, you tap in more, you're gonna come to school on time, you're not gonna miss days, you're gonna be tapped in a little bit differently. But just staying abreast of those trends and also just looking at like what are the colleges looking for, right? So there was a huge shift on the SAT, ACT, and some colleges are not using that score anymore. And what does that look like for us in the building? Like, how do we talk that to the kids, and how do we continue to sell that? Still a metric that you need to use for certain avenues. And so they're staying abreast on those things. But I'll say this college trends and in the workforce and understanding what the workforce needs and make sure we understand what the credentials look like for these students because I'll tell you now, there's a lot of credentials that we give kids in high school now that will blow your mind. And these kids can get out here you know, making really good money as 18, 19-year-olds walking out of high school that we never even thought about. And these things are free. I'll tell people, look here, this is, you're not going to college paying for this. I'm going to, for lack of a better term, the state of South Carolina is going to front the bill for this. So why not take advantage of it? And make sure that you get something that can have you go out here and feed your family, take care of yourself, and if you want to go to school after that. But get these credentials, So we got to keep up with that kind of stuff because it's always ever changing, it's ever shifting. Every time we close our eyes and wake up, it's something different.
Most definitely. And I think one of the beautiful things about you in particular is man, when I talk to you, it's like your mind is racing at a pace that I haven't necessarily seen indie educate like I know principals' minds race at a higher pace than most because you're always thinking about how to provide solutions to problems. But when I talk to you, you're talking so fast and you're displaying and giving out so many options at so many different times and in so many different ways. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. And so I just want to say, man, I salute you for being an innovator in your particular field and then what God has given you. In that same regard, though, self care as a leader in education, man, what does that look like to actually make sure you don't put yourself on an altar and actually essentially kill yourself for the impact needed in the education arena for these kids? How do you balance that? Or is it just rhythms?
And look here, you have to figure it out fast. So basically, when I first got into this business, back in high school principal back in almost 10 years ago. I think back in I think that was 2013. I think my first principalship. So no, 15 for high school. Anyway, principal. Yeah, I think going on about 10, 11 years now. So basically, I started off crazy, man. I tell everybody, I first took the job. I would tell everybody around me that, hey, look, man, give me about 2 to 3 months to figure this out. I'm gonna get back to normal. Like just let me tap in about 2 to 3 months. I'm gonna figure this thing out and I'm gonna get back to doing what I normally do. And I tell you right now, I've still not figured that pace out 100% because the pace has shifted. But what I learned though is that there's ebb and flows to it, but self care, is key to it. So you have to figure out a way to kind of make those things a priority. And I would say, I slipped, man. Like when I took the job over here at White Knoll from Sumter High School, I came here with a vengeance and a different level of pace because I want to do some different things here and kind of, transition this school into, a different season going into a 5-year plan to kind of see what can we do here in 5 years, right? So that was the goal. But man, I let my weight get away from me, man. And like I was like 280 at one point. So now I'm down to 233 now. So like, and I've lost that in like 5 months because it clicked. So I can feel my body. I feel my energy level shifting. I can see it. So you gotta take care of yourself, man. And I tell a lot of leaders that all the time. Like, look, you gotta take care of yourself, self care. I like to promote something called white space. A lot of times we go through these different programs throughout the day. You have to close your office door or take a walk to kind of clear your mind. That mental thing is the amount of decisions that we make throughout the day, the emotions we deal with. If you don't have your mental stability to deal with that, it can take you out really fast. And I
Yeah.
jokingly say, I'm the pastor, I'm the accountant,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
the principal, I'm everything to some of these people in the building.
Yeah.
Be it the 230 adults or
Mhm.
the some to the over 2,000 students here. But you take on a lot of weight. You have to have your mental in the right place to kind of process that so that you can effectively serve. So, man, those are the two things I tell folks, man, you got to be on top of it because it's a pace that you have to keep up with, but also getting good people around you. I can't brag on my leadership teams over the years. I've been blessed to build some good teams. Um, I think when I left something high school, that's probably one of the better teams I built over like a 7-year period. Um, get to that point. And right here, White Knoll, same thing, man. Like we had a iteration, we just added another assistant principal, and the team is gelling together and they're getting the flow. They're learning what they need to do. So having people around you that can carry that with you is vital. A lot of principals that I talk to that kind of struggle in this profession or burn themselves out because they don't have good support around them. So building a good team also helps out a lot as well.
What do you look for when you're looking for good teammates? Is it a particular quality or is it a heart posture? What is it?
Hey man, I'm old. I trust my gut most of the time, right? I like trust my gut, but
You said trust is good.
I trust your gut, man. I got a little bit of that Leroy Jethro Gibbs kind of thing, man, for NCIS. If it don't, I trust that thing in between my brain and my gut, man. But also, I really look for someone that has a little bit of innovation to them. You have to be willingness to learn, but also opportunity to grow. Like if you're coming in this to think that you know everything, you're not willing to grow. I might can't use you, right? I think that that's a hard thing to do. Um, but you got to be willing to grow, and the way I grow, you might not be what you used to. It's almost like, some people throw their kids to the wolves, so to speak, or,
Mhm.
I'm not the dad that's gonna throw you in the deep end of the pool and see if you can swim, but I am the guy I'm gonna walk out there with you in the deep end. I might leave you. I might walk out there and leave you for a little bit to say, all right, now let's go swim a little bit. I got out here with you.
Yeah,
So let me
yeah.
see. I'm gonna check on you. I'm gonna check up on you, but it's all about growing you. Because when I got into this business, someone did it to me. They let me grow. They showed me how to grow. So that's why I look for the leaders, and I think it's proven to be a very good tactic to use. I've been successful in that part of it. Got a couple of people that's already became principals from under leadership, style. So that's a big thing there.
Can you
So
talk about those people really quickly? Who are
oh
those?
man, look, man. So I know you interviewed one earlier, or Renard. So Renard is an interesting one, man. Jefferson, man, good guy. Sumter, man. He was a assistant basketball coach, did that kind of work, but catapulted him into a elementary school principalship. Assistant principalship first, and then into the principalship at that spot there, man. On where he's at over there, in Richland One now, man. He's doing great stuff over there, man. He's a good one. Um, had Jared DeBow Smith was an AP under me, man. He had taken a principalship at the prison in Tuberville, which was a real interesting job there, man. After a few years,
Wow.
Dr. Anthony Williams just got a job over in Marion. In Manning and Clarendon School District.
I
He's
just
be at
seen that.
Manning High School now, so he's in there. Um, Anna Maria Sandor, she's the new principal at Sumter High School. She's one of my APs there as well. Mary Kay Norton, she's taking the principalship at High Hills Elementary School in Sumter at one point. Nicole Fuller's not a principal at Bates Middle School, so she's on the admin board in there. So I mean, like, so we had a good run, man. So it's been a blessing to see those folks, get out there on their own and fly and thrive and do it, man. So but those people they done great work, but all of those folks had different stories and different things we had to cultivate, right, and get them to a point where they can do it. But I just feel myself, I'm just a vessel, as a conduit to help you. I just, if you tell me your goal, tell me the aspiration you want to be at, I will do my best to try to help you get there.
Yeah, so is it a green flag for an AP to say, "Hey, I want to be an AP right now, but my goal is to be a principal." Is that a green flag because it shows that somebody desires to grow? Or
Yeah,
and in the same breath, is it a red flag percentage wise for somebody to say, "Hey, I'm coming to be AP. Really, I don't want to go any further. I just want to be an AP." Like,
man,
talk to me about that.
valuable. Both of them are valuable. I love both of them, man. I tell you what, it's something about you can cultivate something in both, and it's when I got here, man, you meet some people that they life for APs. My mother was a administrator for 40 years, never was a principal, life AP.
Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
she was assistant principal for over 20 something years in Lee County, man. Did 40 years of education. She was life AP, never wanted to be the principal. Um, there's a space for that position, right? And there's a level of work that needs to be done there, and it's respectable. And I think that if you get in there and you become a life in that spot, you can really be successful in that. Now, the green light is when you come in here and you say, "Hey, look, I want to be a principal." The thing that comes with that is, what are you going to do to show me that you want to be a principal, right? So you have to really, for lack of a better term, you have to really sit at the king's table and learn how to eat. Like, let me feed this to you and see how you digest it. Because this seat that I sit in now is different than the seat I was assistant principal. So I tell everybody, look, when I was at Sumter High School, man, I was assistant principal there for 2 years. But when I moved from that assistant principal seat to the principal seat, I thought I knew what it was. I had no idea. Like, it was a different vibe. So with that being said, man, it's one of those things where I look at it, when you tell me you want to be it, that's all good and well coming out of your mouth. I want to see what action you put in place. And the thing is, sometimes it's not action with me. It's what I see you doing around. What are you learning? What are you tapping into? What are your interests now? Are you going outside of your department to learn something? Are you getting heavily into curriculum? Are you learning some more operations than before? Because a lot of times in big high schools, there's so many assistant principals that you might not touch everything, and you might not know a lot of aspects of the job. I was blessed. I was at a middle school. I was the only assistant principal with 600 students. So I did a little bit of everything as the only assistant principal there. You get some of these bigger high schools, they're 5, 6, 7 assistant principals. You might do this one job description for a duration of time, and then you go apply for a principalship. You're ill prepared because you don't know enough of the wide range of the job. So I think both of them are important, but I just like to challenge the assistant principal. When you say you want to do it, it's like, okay, let's talk about what that looks like.
Yep.
You know, you gotta be willing to change now. So when I come in and say, okay, you're not no longer doing special ed and books and discipline, you're doing guidance and you're doing this initiative, so I need to shake you up a little bit so I can, get you to a point where you be ready to go fly. And everybody I named to you a few minutes ago, all of those folks, they learned a lot. Like, they really got to a point where they had to learn some more things outside of their box. And, like, even like Miss Fuller, Nicole right there in base right now, man, she learned a lot of different things, like, and some testing and guidance and different things with discipline and learning some different platforms and initiatives and learn how to do it with parents and community based stuff. So, like, she tapped in early, man, and just sucked it all up like a sponge. So, like, yeah, show me what you want to do. And there's a rivalry of other people that we mentored over the years. I mean, there's some assistant principals all over the place that's working, that were teachers that kind of talk to me and say, hey, I want to get into this business. What should I do? And I've met with them too and kind of talked to them, man. So it's been fun to do it. But also, I think both people play an important role in this business. Both of them do.
For sure. Thank you for answering that because I
Yeah,
think on one end of the spectrum, somebody can say, "Oh, that person isn't ambitious, therefore they're not going to do their job well." But another person says, "No, they know what they desire to do and how they desire to have impact." And so
absolutely.
I find that your insight is very valuable. Now, when we talk about school culture building and making sure that the environment is safe, it's one that helps students thrive. That's cool. What about building a community outside of the school that supports the school and what the school has? How do you do that? How do you mobilize your community to be an aid for you and for the students?
Man, look here, that's a good question. Every community is different. I tell people all the time, man, you have to really understand your community and you do it fast, right? And understand what your community wants. So, the previous community I worked in had a different vibe to it, right? Had a different level of expectation, different concept, different looks. And I think every school had a hierarchy of schools in the community, and all those dynamics played into it, right? So you know how that played out in that city
Hmm.
there, right?
Yep.
So you get over here, it's the same kind of dynamic, right? So it's a little bit different. What I tell folks is you got to want to be visible. You got to be visible. You need to be welcoming. You don't need to put like a guardrail up in front of your school. Make people come in. A lot of times the community needs to see the product, right? Until you see the product, you learn to respect the product. So don't send the community away. You make sure it's open doors, bring people in, but also you need to find out who's those key players in the community, and you play
Hmm.
off of those folks. You meet with those folks, you talk to those folks, you go to the meals and you go to the restaurants and dinners and do certain things. So like, man, my first year here, White know, man, every week I ate out somewhere different in the community. I'm going out, go to have dinner someplace out in the community. A lot of times I go in different stores and different things. I try to be visible in some of the the businesses here, and that's one big thing that was in this community. They value that. They want you to see you tap into the community and be a patron in some of the businesses and things of that nature. But also faith based community. You know, we have a church that has church here every Sunday. When I
Wow.
got here, they said, "Hey, we're looking for a place. Hey, White knows the place. Let's do it." So Harrison School has almost 400 people here every Sunday. Do two
Wow.
services now in the cafeteria, full ministry. They do their
Wow.
thing here. So relationships like that. I mean, so the faith-based community is another group you got to tap into. But
Hmm.
you got to understand your group though. Like understand your community, what's important to them. But I would say like in most instances, you got to understand that athletics and the arts have always been the two things that you draw people in quick.
That's it.
If your football team is successful, your basketball team doing all right. If you can get those things, get people to come out there, that'll draw them in. That's always big, man. But also like having your student government association, different groups in National Honor Society, different groups on campus to do community events. Like we do like a big fall festival here. The community does that. We host different events throughout the year, invite the kids out and families out. And sometimes it's be fun. Just lighthearted fun and just invite them to the concerts and the musical productions and things of that nature. So just tap into the community and find out what it is that they like and what they value. But every community is different. I will tell you that because coming out of one community, coming in this one, I'm still learning like the community and learning. You gotta be flexible. Like, as leaders, you gotta be flexible to kind of move with the community as as the platform changes. As the need in the community changes, be flexible with it. Like right now in Red Bank, I mean the economic boom in this community is big. I mean, there's businesses popping up from, the Publix is here now. You got the Chick-fil-A, you got the Chipotle, the Whataburger, the Panda Express. So that wasn't here when I got here 3 years ago, right? So this whole Lowe's Foods and it's all these businesses. You gotta be visible. I got to walk in that business, shake the hand. Hey, how you doing? Mr. Pearson, Pearson White No High School. When they come in, welcome them in as well. So you got to understand that the community right now is really big on economy, right? So because the businesses are coming, so we need to be visible in that. So like just earlier today, we were actually talking about my executive secretary, one of my old athletic secretaries. They're talking about the school board, sponsorships. Looking at like, okay, what businesses we're gonna go into and talk about getting school board sponsorships. We're gonna send somebody out, physically, face to face, to kind of talk through that and see who they are. And when you go, take them a gift. Like, before I got here, it was like one of the trends were to take them a helmet. An old helmet is outdated as a gift so they can put up in their business. Or I know I go around with polo shirts and hats and things. I go meet with people, even if you give a donation, not give a donation. Just want to appreciate you for being a staple in the community. It's not about anything. They give you a ticket to the game or say if you come, get in the game free or whatever the case may be, or if you just want to come out do a tour, or you might need a facility for a meeting, want to rent the conference room or just utilize the building. Because this building doesn't belong to Mr. Pearson. It's a piece of the community. And we know we got the Performing Arts Center now, so to tell people, hey, look, come use it. I mean, it's definitely not for the students only. This is for the community. Your taxpaying dollars pay for it. So just being visible and allowing people to come in is definitely key to getting that culture up in the community.
What I really hear from you is like you have an abundance mindset in the sense of you want to serve at the highest level, so you're willing to do what's necessary to be visible and also not to hoard the resources. One of the things that I find interesting though about people in your seat is the hoarding of resources for no other
Mhm.
reason but for control and for them to feel like they have the magic key and they can only give it to a certain amount of people. But what I love about what you're saying is, man, if you need it and if your values align and if you're doing great things, we can give it to you. One of the things I do want to ask you though is, man, for those who are in your seat, who may be entering or their first year as principal, who are afraid of doing all of that and they're really kind of shy and they don't desire to be out in the community like that, can they still be successful? Can they still have a great term as principal? Can they still have community impact? Is it possible to be a high level leader as a principal without being in the community?
Man, look, I think that it's gonna be hard. I would say it's gonna be tremendously hard. I won't say you can't. I think the community is gonna dictate the community is gonna dictate what you get away with in a sense, right? So they're gonna understand what
Oh,
your tolerance level
get
is,
away with.
what you get away with. So if you get away with it, if you don't have to be out visible, you got away with it. Like you just, you check the
So,
box.
but
Maybe
with you saying that, meaning this is something that you really need to do as
oh
a
yeah,
principal.
yeah, you
Okay,
need to do it.
okay, that's what that's what I'm asking.
Oh yeah, you need to do it. Like I tell anybody, like every first year principal mentor I talk to, like we talk about a 30, 60, 90-day plan. In that first 30 days, it is heavily built upon, community engagement, understanding community, and understanding your school in a whole. Um, you know, I if you get away with it, kudos to you. That's fine. I mean, whatever your community needs, they desire, that's great. Because some communities value things like test scores. If our test scores are this, our schools are safe. We don't care who's at the helm, right? They can be visible, not be visible, but as long as we get these things done, some people in the community don't care. And you have those folks. We have other people that say, look, we want our principal to be visible. It's almost like I tell you about. It's like it's the preacher too. The preachers and the principals. Like you can't preach at a Sunday and then not be accessible to your parishioners. You're not going to have any success doing this that way. As the principal, I got to have access to the parishioners. I got to, and you got to be accessible. The only way I think people get successful with it and not doing it, you got to have somebody in your building that can do it. Like, so you got to empower somebody else to carry that mantle. So, like, I would tell you when I was in Sumter, man. When I first got that job in Sumter, Terry Law. I don't know if you know Terry Law, man. Terry Law was one of my administrative assistants there, and he was with me all day, every day, man. But he was that pulse. As I learned the community from the assistant principal to the principal step, he would keep me in tune with what was going on city council. Um, who's you know who's got a past installation or who passed away in the community that might be prominent. Like you need to go show your face at that. You know what's going on certain things on social media. So like you got to have people around you that's going to feed that information. So even though you might be a transplant into the community as a new administrator, you better learn who those people are in your building, in your circle that can get that information to you, because you might need to be at that funeral, you might need to be at that wedding, or you might need to be at that grand opening for that business and things of that nature. So you better have somebody that tapped into the community. So like even there, some man I had rest in peace, Ron McBride. He was one, man. McBride, man, he kept me on point. He called me every morning, Mr. Pearson, this was going on. This what happened on Manning Avenue. This happened on the South Side last night. You need to be aware. So when I got to school, I was able to communicate with the parents, communicate with with law enforcement, communicate with my teachers, because I had someone that had a pulse. Because maybe I didn't have it. So the only way I tell people all the time, you could be a good leader in the space, but I think that goes with so far. You better find some people around you that have a pulse on the community, a pulse on what's going on, and they can feed it to you in a good way, in a sincere way, so you can actually learn how to respond to it, without a doubt.
That's solid. So if you're hearing this and you're a principal, it's pretty
Tap
clear.
in.
You cannot skate around being inside the community, being visible, being immersed. Now, when it comes to conflict, I want to know behind the curtain how it's handled, right?
Yeah.
Example. Assistant principal, single, male, handsome, starts to talk to a teacher, married, gorgeous. They start to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
They start
Oh, yeah.
having lunch breaks together. And so
Absolutely.
on a lunch break, they interact in a way that they should not. Word gets out, things start to become weird. What do you do?
Oh man, look, those things happen, and those are the hard days, right? But I tell people the hardest part of the job is managing adults, right? So those are managing adult pieces. The
Yeah,
kids
yeah,
are the
yeah.
easy.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the that gets you the way. Some days you go like, oh my
Yeah.
god, like you get the adult part of the thing, and it takes on a whole other atmosphere. Um, when you go into this business, you must understand that you're a microcosm of your community. So if you go into a building, whatever's happening outside the community, it's happening in your school. Now,
Yeah.
to what degree is up to how you managing it. So just like I tell people, if there if there's something that happens in the community, so the people say, there's drugs in the schools. Well, they drugs in the community.
Yeah.
It's how we monitor it and how we adjust to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are there people having, you know, inappropriate relationships in the world? Yeah, so it's going to happen. It's going to
Yeah.
happen in the building because you
Yeah.
couldn't.
Yeah.
Right now, in my school, there are 241 adults
Yeah. Yeah.
right now. I'm responsible for. Of course, it's going to happen.
For
They're going to
sure.
be relationships all the place. But what we do is we do a good job of, well, you try to do a good job of really letting people understand what professionalism looks like. We owe it to the community that we serve to be professional in every aspect of the job. Now, professionalism and people's moral compasses are two different things, right? So your morality may be different than what professionalism is.
Yes.
You got to figure out which one you're gonna be more loyal to. I tell you, if you're gonna get paid to do this and you earn a living doing this, you better be professional.
Yeah.
Leave your, you better understand what the professionals look like. Because
Yeah.
morally, you understand that what you do in that relationship is okay. Now,
Yeah.
that's your moral compass. That's whatever you want to do with, and whatever God you serve, y'all might be okay with it. I don't
Yeah.
know. As far as what I got to do and what I'm trying to regulate is professionalism.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets into the conversation with those two people, man. You really try to take that approach to it.
Wow.
The
That's
good thing
good.
is personnel matters are usually handled with a lot of delicacy because of litigation that can happen if it's handled wrong, right? So when we get into stuff like that with personnel matters, usually we'll do a ground level investigation and get some data and get some stuff together and talk to both individuals. And being a female, you bring a female administrator in with you, and different things like that. And we get some evidence and data, and we kind of have a conversation. And some things we can handle at the school level, and some things we can't. And based upon what we get from it, make a determining factor what you want to do. But a lot of times I take the approach of, you know, you may think something's morally correct, and I do not disagree with your morals. Not to the point that we're gonna have a problem with at work, but while we at work, your morals are your morals. I'm fine with it, but professionalism is what I'm concerned about. Like, you have to maintain professionalism at all times, and being in the break room or being in a relationship with another person, if you're married, all that kind of stuff. With the fact of the matter, once I find out about it, and once other people find out about it, you just walk into a line where it's not professional anymore. So now I got to deal with it. So that professionalism piece is what we kind of leave at the top tier of it, man. It's like, as long as you're professional, you're doing anything about the book, this person is fine. You ain't bother you. But when you try to get into what you think you should be able to do and your morals, and people internalize it differently, and you get yourself into some weird space there, because the perception in this business is your reality. Please understand that, because as a parent, you don't want your teacher behaving a certain way. It's just a moral compass. It's just you have an expectation for your teachers. Like, you got a young one now, right? So like when your child gets into school and you hear about, say, a teacher doing that's what your credibility is shot. And you want to make sure you maintain your credibility and your professionalism, because a lot of times, whatever you believe in, something that can happen after work. That's fine. No one wants to know that. But while you got that child in that classroom and on campus, we owe it to our communities to be a professional. So I hope I answered your question the best way I could.
You did. You did. I thought you were going to evade it, but you came back around.
No,
You answered it. You
no,
answered
we
it
go straight
well.
to it. We get to it. We get to it. I'm not a
I,
politician. No, I'm not a politician. I go straight for
you
it.
could be. You could be. You could be. Is that next after you do the elementary? No, that's not something you'll pursue. No. Okay.
Not right now. We're not done with this yet. So we got to finish this right here.
Yeah, and talking about finishing and the desire to finish well, man,
Mhm.
what do you desire your legacy to be when you end this term, this run as principal, as educator? What do you want people to say about Dr. Pearson?
And he cared, man. I want people to know that I cared. Like, I really cared about your kids' success. I really cared about teachers having opportunities. I cared about you really, really being able to be innovative in your classroom. Like, ultimately, I cared about the well-being of students. When people understand that, the goal was never to be for me to get any kind of accolades. It's all about the kids. I'm okay with not getting the pat on the back, the attaboys, that kind of stuff. So also, I want people to know I grow leaders. Like, I want to be known to actually have people that have been under my leadership, have grown, have taken on opportunities. Something I told them has helped them out, helped them better because someone did it for me. I've had people that mentored me, are still mentoring me, that I always speak highly of because they got me into this business. If it's not my mother herself, it's like Dr. Gerard Elwes. He hired me first at Wilson High School way back in 2006. So you have people that you encounter throughout your life that have all laid a foundation. I want to be one of those pillars of foundation in somebody's life where you speak like, you know what? The reason I do what I do is because I had an interaction with Nicholas Pearson, and he spoke this into me, or he gave me this opportunity, he gave me this advice, he gave me this feedback. Ultimately, those are the two things, man. I want people to know I care, and I might not always get it right. Like I tell people, I am a human first. Like I will tell you first and foremost, I'm still learning this thing. I'm still figuring it out. But also, I want everybody to know that his heart was in the right place. So every decision that he made, he kept the community at the forefront, the kids at the forefront. Ultimately, I want to grow leaders too. So I love the growing leader piece of it. And those are two things there. Yeah.
I think it's powerful when you think about somebody's impact. Sometimes people think accolades. Sometimes people think test scores. They think graduation rate. But what you said right there, your ability to grow leaders. I believe that greatness is the ability to add value to others through selfless service.
True.
And your ability to add value to leaders, to implore them to become better leaders, is what I would define as greatness. And so I want to say thank you for that. And lastly, this is the last thing. I promise. I promise.
Good, good. You got
This is the last thing. Yeah, and I'm just thinking through. I mean, how, because we talked about hiring the right APs. I know when I came and spoke at White No, you were talking about how you kind of have an advantage of hiring the right teachers as well. I mean, how do you draw in teachers, especially teachers in that are minorities, because there's a need there? What are some of the things you do, and how do you continue to allow them to feel like they are a part of the puzzle, a big part of the puzzle?
Well, I think it varies. So the way I did it in the previous school, the way I do it here is different, right? So it goes back to that growing leaders piece too, right? So it's twofold. I like to get on my assistant principals, let them know what we're looking for in all our teachers in the building, like what we're looking for an effective teacher. So as I hire assistant principals, you got to have the same mindset of what we look like for a teacher, because they're heavily involved in the hiring process, is interviewing teachers and kind of bringing them in. So that's the first thing, just knowing what we're looking for. The other thing is more or less when they get here, what do we do to make you get acclimated to the building? And that goes with having a good climate and culture within your departments. I will say that having a good climate in your departments is one of the key things that keep teachers in your building, because if they don't have a good person they can collaborate with, that someone can talk to about the good days, the bad days, getting information from, a lot of times they feel like they're on an island by themselves, and then they'll slowly drift away from the group, and then you'll lose a teacher like that. So like in big high schools, I've only been principals in large high schools, right? So I don't have, I never worked in a smaller high school that had, small number of employees that you really have like a really tight group. But what we have to do in big high schools is almost like a college. So you have to really make sure that people don't find themselves by themselves. So we have to look for that person, find them a niche. Hey, you want to be a co-advisor on this club? You want to be assistant band director? You want to be, a SGA advisor? You want to come and, volunteer for credit recovery? Like whatever it is, you got to get those people acclimated to the building as quick as possible, because those kind of things help to retain teachers more than anything else. And that's why you show them appreciation. I mean, you got to show teachers appreciation when you can. Like if it's letting them leave a few minutes early, or buying them a gift, or whatever it is you can do, to give them a pat on the back, a snack here and there. You got to let them know that you appreciate them. You appreciate the work, and treat them with some kind of level of respect. I tell folks all the time, man, like you meet people with the respect that they deserve, they'll give you the same kind of respect back. So people like to be respected. Like, don't do anything to just totally disrespectful. So but those are the kind of things we do to retain them. But even back to growing leaders, like here at White No right now, man, my admin team, I empower them a lot to do a lot of the legwork on recruiting teachers. And then they bring the person to me, and I kind of have like the last little, checkpoint box on it. But it's also another growth tactic. Like you over the math department, I need you to go find your math teachers. Like, what we're looking for. Bring me your top one or two. Let's
Which
talk
is
to them.
cool. Wow.
So
They
like
get to kind of choose their roster. Yeah.
yeah, we can let them, manipulate that a little bit, and that's risky, right? A lot of leaders are not there yet. They're like, oh, no, I need to pick all my own people. I need to know, but you can have a say so into it, and you can speak into it because you're used to the principle. But ultimately, you got to let people grow a little bit. And what better the way to grow than to actually grow your department and what you're responsible for? Because what happens, there's a level of accountability that comes with that. Because now, if you came to me and pitched me Mr. Smith, and Mr. Smith turns out to be, not who he was on paper in an interview,
Yeah.
now you got some ownership in that.
Yeah.
So now me and you talk, like, okay, all right, I missed this, I missed that, I missed this. How are we gonna
Yeah.
fix it? Rather than I hired a person 100% by myself, and then you come to me, hey, Mr. Pearson, that match you just helped Mr. Smith, there's some plans of this, or he's always late, or whatever the case may be. Then the onus kind of falls back on me. I need for you to grow too, and the onus falls back on both of us because we all got to have the same goal moving forward. So yeah, that growth piece fits into the hiring piece a little bit as well.
And right now, what would you say is like the ratio between people who come in and get interviewed and people who come in and get interviewed and get hired? Is there still a group of people who come in to the interview not ready and not getting hired? And if so, why are they not getting hired? I'm just interested. This is not even on script. I'm very interested.
Absolutely, man. So it's twofold, right? So you have your certified positions, your non-certified positions, right? So I tell everybody, both have the different level of people that apply for them. But you better believe it, man. We have people that think, like I talked about with the degree level. Some people think that just because you finish a collegiate program or you got a certification credential, that you promise something. It's your right to have a job. Teaching people's children. That's not the case. Like there's a level of work that we're looking for, there's a level of professional we're looking for, a level of willingness to learn that we're looking for. And it's amazing what you can get for someone from a few questions, right? Like like right now you asking me questions and you getting information from me and you learning who I am and what I am, and you knew a lot about me before this, but you can learn a lot from listening to some questions.
Yeah.
And be amazed by what you learn about people's,
What's the craziest? Give me the craziest thing somebody has said.
man, I've had someone recently. I'm not gonna do the recent one. They might watch the list. Let me get an old one. I'll talk about professional dress. Let's talk about that, right? So I think one of the craziest things I've had happen. I've had a person show up, literally, to an interview, right? For a position as a teacher. Right? Let's just put that in concept. As a teacher in the high school, right? know, dress like they're leaving. The guys that turn the little Statue of Liberty flags, the Liberty Tax Services, that kind of stuff. The tax season showed up in the costume, like literally showed up in the costume, like put no effort into changing clothes, nothing. Like literally showed up in a Statue of Liberty costume. And you don't understand, like, if you feel as though that was a good idea, like you thought that was a good
Did
concept
they
to
have a
show up.
story for it? Like, hey, I'm just leaving. I couldn't.
Yeah, yeah, I'm a college student. This is my job, that kind of stuff. And the college kids give you that whole, that woe is me story. But we look about professionalism
You don't
again.
care. You
Like,
don't care.
no, not at that point, you don't care at all. Like, because you didn't respect me enough, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
even, take that. And a lot of times, I mean, I tell folks all the time, I say, we schedule things on your time a lot of times because we need you, right? I need teachers. So I'm like, when are you available? You tell me you're available at 2 o'clock. I put the ball in your court. So when you show up late, or you show up not dressed appropriately, or you show up ill prepared, I usually put everything in your court because I need certified teachers. So I don't say, "Oh, I'm only interviewing people at 8 o'clock." No, I don't put up a hard line because I need you. We're in a profession where teachers are coming to, very scarce. But I think the professional dress one is one. I mean, I've had, professional dress has been one of the ones that's been the worst there. Um, People that come in, just ill prepared. Like I've had people come in and apply for jobs. Do you know the position that they apply for? You know, I call you, and then it might be for a paraprofessional position, a shadow or a special needs student, and you be like, okay, then what this position was again? Like, like how you walk into an interview not knowing the job you apply for. So you get some of those too, man. So yeah, unfortunately, in this profession, it's no. I tell everybody it's no different than working at McDonald's. We're going to hit or miss on some. We're going to get some anything that comes in. Just like they have the same thing that comes in, we have the same thing coming here. Because ultimately, people do know that it is a, you're not going to get rich doing it by any stretch of imagination, but it's a good lifestyle that you can live if you can come in here and figure it out. Teachers, you know, they're not appreciated enough. Definitely underpaid. But people feel like, oh, y'all get off all summer. I want that job. Like, well, all right, come on, but they think that's all it is, but it's more than just having, a few weeks off during the summer. You got to actually do the work. So you need to be serious when you come in the interview because, that not being serious, that professional dress is the one that gets you a no very fast.
Mm, mm. Man, that is crazy. And last question, I promise.
Yeah, you good.
I promise this is the last question. What are the do's and the don'ts as a principal who wants to leave a legacy like yourself to allow people to know that they care? I think we talked a little bit about it, but just in it being wrapped up and summarize it. What are some of the do's? What are some of the don'ts as a principal who wants to leave a legacy?
Yeah, I think you do need to do the job with a level of respect, professionalism, loyalty, that kind of stuff. I think you need to have all those things that's gonna be prevalent. You got to be a leader that people say, he's respectful. I might not like everything he did, but at least he did a level of respect. You got to be loyal to people. I think loyalty in this profession is something that's kind of, it comes and goes, but loyalty can get you a long way, in this profession. So I think that the more you're loyal to people, the better off it's going to serve you. And I was talking to a leader this morning about how people leave you, like how people exit to take other jobs, and how you give people chances in the profession. You might elevate them in your building, then they leave disgruntled, they leave, in the way they do it. But as a leader, you got to continue to stay loyal and stay, at even kill, even though those type of things may hurt you. You got to understand that you gave that person a chance, and no matter how they left or they felt about what they did, you as the leader have to maintain a level of professionalism. So you got to always keep that. Learn your content, man. Learn the profession. Learn what's going on in it. Be a credible source of the information. Do not be someone that does not know what's going on. So if you're a high school principal, understand what's going on for the assessments. Like, understand how you're being rated on your report card. Understand, the graduation rate calculation. Understand what the EOC is doing. Understand what's coming down for the SAT, ACT. Understand your scope of work. Elementary people, understand those, the things that deal with literacy and all those early learning things that you need to understand, so I think that's the thing that you need to do as far as a leader. You need to understand the profession, like understand what's going on in education, understand the profession. I think don't, you know, don't be untruthful, be a credible person, like just be someone that's, always credible. I think you don't, don't antagonize folks. Be a leader that, you give people opportunity to grow and fail. Like, don't antagonize people, don't browbeat them. And ultimately, my profession, I don't micromanage. I think that the micromanaging days, in this profession, have came and gone. And if you're one that are still micromanaging people, I'm willing to bet that your turnover is going to be pretty high, and you're not going to be able to sustain people as long as you need to sustain them, because of the micromanagement mentality. It's probably something that needs to go away. You got to allow people to be themselves and learn how to cultivate and manage what they present to you, rather than dictating who they should not be. So I would say those are my do's and don'ts. So I hope they help somebody out, get them, make sure they get successful off that kind of stuff.
Hey man, we appreciate you. You drop so much game. I mean, listen, principals, administrators, teachers, if you just watch this episode and apply what he said, I believe you'll be successful this year. So, Dr. Pearson, we appreciate you. We love you. Till next time. Peace. Hey family, are you in the need of a speaker or host at your next event? If that is the case, I am your guy.
Dwayne Cowles is the guy.
Everybody needs to hear for how amazing he is.
Words that he brought today is very powerful.
He was phenomenal.
He made me a better man, honestly.
I would be the best student in my classroom. I would be the best version of myself.
I recommend Dwayne Cowles to come to your school, to talk to your student population, to motivate them, get them engaged.
I don't know how to describe it, but he connected to the audience, and I liked it.
If you're looking for somebody to come and transform the lives of middle school, high school students, Dwayne Cowles is the guy.
We want him to come back and speak to the whole entire district, not just one school. We want all schools to hear him, and all administrators, teachers, parents, scholars. Everybody needs to hear for how amazing he is.
So you must ask yourself in this moment, when people think about you, what is associated with your name? How do you want to be remembered? What type of legacy do you want to leave here at this school?